Part 1. Describing the study. Why is this study being done? The Health Research Board, or HRB, is funding research which examines the experience of patients who have had a stroke recently. We wish to understand how best to plan and organise stroke services to meet the individual needs of people who have a stroke. We're interested in the whole patient journey from the moment the stroke symptoms started until a person gets home again. In this particular study, we're especially interested in the early or acute phase of stroke. By speaking with people who have recently had a stroke, we might see patterns in their stories that could help us identify areas for improvement in care and services. We want to make every patient's stroke journey better and reduce any potential after effects that a person might have after a stroke. Your experiences are very valuable to us, and we believe that hearing your story will help us improve stroke care for other people in future. Who is organising and funding this study? This study is being organised by a team of researchers who work at Beaumont Hospital and at the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland. The study is funded by a grant from the Health Research Board, HRB, and is part of a postgraduate degree or PhD for a doctor who works in stroke care in Ireland. Why am I being asked to take part? We are asking you to consider taking part because you have recent experience of having a stroke, and so we feel we can learn from your experience. We believe that understanding your individual stroke journey can help us improve how stroke care is organised for everyone who has a stroke in future. While you weren't well enough to participate when you first came to hospital, your treating consultant or your GP feels you are now medically improved, and we feel that offering you the opportunity to participate is appropriate and in the spirit of fairness. Your family member has already sat for an interview with the researcher on your behalf, but now that your medical team note that you are medically improved, we would like to hear from you directly. You're under no obligation to participate. You can sit for an interview yourself, or you can read the answers provided by your relative if you wish, and then give deferred consent to include the answers already provided by your family member if you feel they accurately represent your experience. You're under no obligation to participate. How will the study be carried out? This is the second part of the study, where some people who completed a survey are now being invited to take part in an interview about their experience of the past 3 months. Interviews will last about 40 to 60 minutes. If you'd rather do the interview yourself rather than use the responses of your family member, the researcher will accommodate your preferred way of conducting the interview. For example, she can visit you at your place of residence or arrange a video call on an online platform like Zoom or MS Teams if you prefer. If you prefer to be interviewed on the RCSI Beaumont campus, this can also be arranged at a time of your choosing. You may prefer to have your family member with you during the interview, or you may prefer to be interviewed alone. You may choose not to participate in an interview at all. The researcher will ensure that the interview meets your preferences. The researcher will ask you some questions about your experiences, and your conversation will be recorded. The transcripts or recordings of all the participant interviews will be reviewed later to find patterns in the stories that might help us understand aspects of the stroke journey that work well and aspects that could be improved for patients and for their families. What will happen to me if I agree to take part? If you do agree to participate, you will be asked to sign a consent form and to give your permission to participate in an interview. If your family member has already given an interview on your behalf, you can agree to use the transcript of their interview. This means you would give deferred consent to participate, or you can participate in an interview yourself. You will be asked to choose your preferred way of meeting the researcher, and then you'll be asked to let us know of a time that might suit you to be interviewed. The researcher will review your electronic medical records to see if you have any new visits to the hospital or tests or scans since the survey was completed. This is to ensure that the researcher is up to date on your care, as she can be before you meet. During the interview, the researcher will ask you questions about your experience at the time of your stroke, your time in hospital, and after you went home or to a rehabilitation unit. The researcher will be very interested in observations that you may have about things that went well or things that you feel could have been done better. If you have ideas or opinions on how to improve the patient journey and experience, we would really like to hear them. There may be gaps in what you can recall from the time of your stroke. This is common. You may wish to have your family member present for the interview to assist you with some details of the events at the time of your stroke, or you may not. The researcher will accommodate your preferences. If the video is in person, you will be recorded in sound only using a voice recorder. If the interview is via an online platform, a video may also be recorded with your permission. If you prefer not to record the video, then the conversation can be recorded in voice only. You can stop participating in the interview at any time. For example, you may experience tiredness and need to rest. If recalling or describing the details of your stroke causes you any distress or upset, you can tell the researcher that you wish to stop answering any question at any time. You can stop for a break temporarily, or you can withdraw from the study altogether. This will not impact your future medical care in any way, and your distress will be acknowledged and supported. The researcher will ring you the day after the interview to see how you are and to answer any questions that you may have. And this conversation will be to check on your well-being, and it will not be recorded. What are the benefits? So while you may not benefit directly, it is hoped that the results of the study will help people who have a stroke in future to have the fastest possible access to the care that they need. We want to improve how stroke services are planned and organised to make them as fast and efficient as possible for everyone, so that people have the best possible outcome after their stroke. What are the risks? The study involves an interview with questions about your recent experience of stroke. For some people, this might be distressing to recall, and if you experience any distress during or after discussing the questions in the interview, you can speak about this to the researcher or to your medical team. Also, the Irish Heart Foundation have a stroke support group who can be contacted by telephone on 016685001 Monday to Friday, 9am to 1pm. And they can also be contacted by email using the address support@irishheart.ie. What if something goes wrong when I'm taking part in this study? It's very unlikely that anything will go wrong as a result of participating in this study. However, if you feel distressed as a result of the interview, you can speak to the researcher or to your GP. The last page of this form is contact details of the research team, whom you can contact for advice or support. Is the study confidential? All information collected will remain confidential at all times. Your personal details, like your name, age and address, and contact details, such as telephone number and email address, will be coded so that only the research team will be able to determine your identity. We will let your GP know if you participate, unless you would prefer that your GP is not made aware. If, however, your answers to the interview questions indicate that you're very distressed, then your GP or an stroke consultant will be told so that they can support you appropriately. Your medical records will remain in the possession of Beaumont Hospital at all times and never removed from the hospital for this study. You have the right to access all information gathered with regard to your contribution to the study, and we hope to publish the results of the study in scientific journals. However, you will not be identifiable in any publication. We will acknowledge your contribution and your help in this study in future publications anonymously.